Okay, welcome. We're going to start tonight's meeting with an invocation given by Councilmember Laura North, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please stand.
Dear Lord, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity that we get tonight to gather here and look towards the future of our city together. Please be with us as we're making decisions that impact others. Please be with our first responders and also with our country. There's been a lot of unrest and high tension. I just ask that you help to remind us in our city of the foundation and that we are called to love our neighbor. And that means all of our neighbors. Please be with us tonight in the decisions that we're making. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. We'll call tonight's meeting to order. It is the Kingsburg City Council regular agenda for September 17th, 2025. First order of business is to approve the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Can you do the roll call, please?
Present. Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Now, first up, we have approving the agenda. We'll entertain motions.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Under presentations and informational reports tonight, we have none, so we'll move on to public comment. This provides an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on items of interest to the public within the Council's jurisdiction, which are not already on the agenda this evening. It is the policy of the Council not to answer these questions impromptu. Speakers should limit their comments to not more than 3 minutes. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the Council as each item is brought up for discussion. Do we have any members of the public that would like to come up and speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment and move on to the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and include our recommendation from staff and shall be acted on in one motion of the council. If a council member requests additional information or would like to pull an item for discussion, that item shall be pulled from the consent calendar and acted upon separately. A motion to approve the consent calendar is deemed to include a motion to waive the full reading of any ordinance or resolution on the consent calendar. Tonight we have consent calendar items 1 through 3. Do we have any members of council that would like to pull any items? Any members of staff or members of the public like to pull anything that's on our consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, we will entertain motions for consent.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent passes. Thank you. Next, we will move on to our regular calendar. We'll start with item 4, which is Kingsburg's Healthcare Grant Senior Center presentation by Community Services Director Adam Castaneda. Welcome, Adam.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Thank you for having me here tonight. I want to bring to you the Kingsburg Healthcare Grant Cycle Award announcement. So in January of every year, they open a grant cycle with council's permission. We went ahead and sought funding for the Kingsburg Senior Center's hot meal program. When we walked away from the county meals, we started cooking in-house. This would be the second year that we're kind of going on with this program. Application was submitted over the summer and was granted by the healthcare district for $55,000 to cover food expenses, kitchen expenses, and supplies that help run the new program at the Kingsburg Senior Center. So tonight, staff is seeking council approval to accept the award so that we can continue the hot lunch program at the senior center. Once the contract is signed, then we can begin work for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. And just kind of to relay a little bit more into the program, this again would be the second year for the program, walking away from the county program that was sponsored by Fresno Madera Agency on Aging. All cooking is in-house. We've seen an influx of numbers of seniors coming in. Right now we're estimating about 20,000 seniors a year. The last quarter that we reported to the healthcare district saw about 2,500 seniors coming in and receiving a hot meal at the senior center. And it is free of charge. Obviously, there's a suggested donation that goes into it, but no seniors are turned away for the inability to pay. And we do accept donations throughout the year. But numbers have been good and seniors are happy, and staff is working on, just making sure that we kind of keep a high quality. And it is a special program for the area. A lot of the other senior centers in the Central Valley rely on county programs to run their program, and so it's kind of an honor for Kingsburg to say that we can serve our seniors a little different. And so my staff works really hard to make sure that happens every day. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but hopefully we can get this going and have happy seniors for one more year at least.
Thank you, Adam. It's a great program. Any comments, questions from council? No? Anybody from the public have any comments about this? Okay, seeing none, we'll come back to council if there's no other comments. Staff is seeking council's approval for the contract award presentation that's presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Adam. Thank you, Adam.
Next up, we have the revenue collection report for fiscal year 24-25 presented by City Manager Alex Henderson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is a fiscal year 25 year-end revenue update. We provide this usually in the middle of September. The reason for that is because we continue to see revenues come in far after the fiscal year, mainly our sales tax dollars. So even when you make a purchase, for example, at the end of June, which technically goes into the last fiscal year, we don't see those revenues from the state until roughly the end of August. So we've finally received the majority of those receipts, and we'll provide an update this evening on our major funds. Hopefully. See the mouse? There we go. So again, major sources, all of these except for Measure E are general fund sources. So we'll be talking about the Bradley Burns sales tax, our property taxes, our motor vehicle license fees, which are our form of property tax, our TOT tax, which we collect from both Airbnbs and hotels, and then obviously licensing and permitting that we have. So this is our original budget that we had roughly, let's call this May, June of 2024. So you'll see it towards the end here that the majority of these that we projected came in higher, which is a good thing for us. And I'll get into a little bit of why some of that is as we go through each one. So the first one we'll start with is our sales tax dollars. This is specific to Kingsburg here. So if you purchase something in Kingsburg, you pay 8.975% of sales tax on eligible items. You can see the breakdown of where that goes. Specifically, 1%, or at least the majority of 1% is for Bradley Burns. There are a portion of online sales that we've talked about before that go into a county pool and then come back to us somewhat diluted, whereas the full 1% is for Measure E. We do receive, including for online sales and other eligible purchases like vehicles and things that are registered in Kingsburg. And you can obviously see the other things there. So the largest one being the state, it's county realignment. We've talked a lot lately about Measure C, so that's the 0.5% regional tax that we have there. Some smaller ones like the zoo and county transportation that are similar to other Fresno County jurisdictions. These are our top 25 sales tax remitters from at least the most recent top 25. These are in alphabetical order, not allowed by law to disclose the total amounts that they put out, but we are allowed to indicate who they are. So these are pretty consistent for us, honestly. From probably one or two will cycle their way in or out. Some of them based upon kind of cyclical sales, larger sales. So sometimes you'll see Gus on here once in a while is because when they sell one or two of their pieces of equipment, it's a very large sale, and so they'll make their way onto a quarterly list as to the top 25. And then if it happens to be a quarter where maybe they've had lesser sales, they'll cycle on and off. So it's a little difficult to see, so I apologize for that. But this is our Bradley Burns here. I think the most important thing is in the bottom right-hand corner, up about 3% from the previous year. So trending a little higher each year since 2020. Obviously a little bit lower that because we were coming out of the pandemic still, but we have continued to see sort of steady growth, which is good, makes it easier for us to budget from year to year. And then Measure E, as we've talked about, and I've been talking about specifically lately as we look at the renewal effort, is obviously a 1% public safety sales tax. It was approved by voters in 2018. It does include a more diversified amount of dollars, and so you'll see here shortly the significant difference just based upon that from our Bradley Burns collections. So specifically, it's about $1 million more that we collect through Measure E, just because of that use tax and the things that it applies to. We did see a little bit of growth this year, just under 1.5%, a little higher than what we were budgeting a year ago, which is a good thing. We have started to see the dollars normalize. We've talked a little bit previously that in 21-22 it was at a high of 2.755, dipped the next year. Slight reduction the following year too, but now we're seeing that come back up again. So we're hopeful that that will continue in the next few years. Property taxes is another large collection for us. Tax imposed on real property and tangible personal property. It's 1% in California, and then it can go up 2% or CPI, whichever is less. It's usually 2%, and then property that changes hands, gets reassessed. So that tends to be the largest portion of growth is when the properties are sold. And then we have another form of property taxes, what is also collected through everyone in California pays vehicle license fees. So it used to be personal property tax that was collected through your property tax previously in California. That changed, and so now it's 0.65% of your vehicle license fees go to cities and counties just for local government services. And so in essence, while they're collected and come in a different way to us, they are a subset of property taxes just through the tax on vehicles. So if you're talking about your individual property taxes in Kingsburg, this is the percentages and where they go. This does not include any additional, voter approved measures, so school taxes, community college referendums, things like that. So the city collects roughly 21% of that 1% we talked about earlier, total property value. TOT again is a portion, it's a bed tax passed in Kingsburg, increased by voters in 2008 from 8% to 12%. Again, 12% of rent charged to guests in hotels and motels. So we have the Fairfield Motel 6 and Tabcam, and also Airbnb, registered Airbnb locations are charged this as well. Licenses and fees, kind of as a catch-all. Largest ones for us are building permit fees, but it also includes planning and zoning. So site plan review that we get, for commercial and residential development. It also includes plan check and engineering fees. So those are all collected. You'll see a higher number this year, which is just relevant to the amount of activity that we've had. It's a good thing. Just caveat it with that, a lot of the expenditures that we pay can be for consultant fees. So Dave Peters cost to review things. We do send certain building permit and other things out to a third party plan check firm. They charge a percentage to review those as well. And the reason that we do that, while we could do some of it in-house, is that it would bog down a lot of those projects that we send them out to keep them moving. And then some of the more basic ones, AJ will complete in-house. So this is just a quick summary of those funds here. You'll see, so on the far right, mostly positive numbers, increases from the previous years, property taxes, We've had some we've obviously had new housing built over the last few years. That's a portion of it, but also, as I mentioned earlier, the reassessment of sold houses have changed some of the property values, and that reflects in higher collections for us. The only one that's went down a little bit here is TOT. I dug into that a little bit. It's really, I mean, it's only $15,000 off of last year's, and it's basically a low quarter for Fairfield. They had a lower second quarter, right around $10,000 less than the one that they had from the previous year, but still pretty consistent numbers that you see across the board for that, which makes budgeting fairly regular. And then hopefully we'll just continue to see regular growth in our sales tax, even if only a small percentage from year to year. So just looking, quick summary here. One of the things we've talked about previously is how fuel sales do remain a large portion. So gas sales remain a large portion of our Bradley Burns collection, as well as Measure E. So there are some projections that we look at going forward as people purchase more EVs and what that looks like. Still a lot of conversation at the state level about changing some of those formulas, because the way that the state funds repairs on their highways is also based upon fuel sales. So there's going to have to be some sort of wholesale overhaul on that, which will also impact cities as well if we continue to move towards electric vehicles. Again, development-based permitting remains relatively steady, but is dependent upon just economic activity. I look back at in March, I gave a similar report, and economists at that time were kind of expecting consumer demand to remain somewhat subdued, just because of the unknown impacts of tariffs at that time, the inflation, and just overall costs. I think that's played its way out a little bit. I think it hasn't there hasn't been any recession concerns or anything like that. There actually was a rate cut, 25 basis point rate cut today. So I think they're a little more concerned about what the labor market looks like, but they had a rate cut today, and I think they've also indicated there will probably be 3 more over the next, two more through the end of this year and 1 more in the early part of 2026. So it'll be interesting to see if that has an impact. Housing moves, if you start to see that shake free, which has an impact on us, but then also if people have more disposable income potentially, because they're not paying as much towards their mortgage, then maybe you'll see changes in sales tax. But I guess we'll see what happens with inflation as well with the lowering of interest rate. So that concludes my report, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Do we have any council member questions or comments?
I was just curious, Alex, the increase in permits and fees. I know it's not the biggest number there, but it was a sizable increase, 44%. Is that something we expected? Do we have any idea why?
Well, some of it is based upon when, some of our larger building permit fees are the new single family starts. So some of it is based upon how quick, how well they do at selling homes, right? So I would say in general, I take a conservative approach in terms of what we expect from those fee collections, but there are also some other, there were some other like larger engineering fees that came in for some commercial development. So we had the Quick Corner start, we had the Union 76 start, a fair amount of activity in the business park over the last year. So all those, it can be somewhat timing based too. And so I would probably look at those more just kind of looking across the 5 years and trying to take some sort of an average is probably an expectation of, because it is a collection of all those fees. But the biggest one is building permits. But we also do see a lot of, I think, because there has been, at least over the last year, or year, 18 months, because there's been less movement in people selling their existing houses because they have lower interest rates. They are taking out more permits to do improvements at their house. So tenant improvements kind of at their house. So you'll see some of those go up too. They're also percentage based. So if you've had to replace an HVAC system at all lately, you know how expensive they are, and building permit is associated with the cost of that as well. So as the prices for some of those things continue to go up, your solar, any of those improvements continue to go up, the percentage of the building permit will follow with it as well. It's based upon the valuation of the work that's being done.
No, very good. It's a great increase, and it's great to see the development. So I was just curious. Thank you.
You have a question, Alex? On TOT, refresh my memory, how many Airbnbs do we have in Kingsburg?
Abby might know this more than me. I think active right now, we have either 4 or 5.
4 or 5, okay.
So we have a restriction in town, outside of the downtown core. They have to be at least a half a mile apart. So we've had pretty consistently the same Airbnbs since we put that into place.
And I have another question on the top 25 tax remitters.
Mhm.
You said by law, you're not allowed to, number them.
Mhm.
Is that a county law or a state law?
State.
State, okay.
Mhm. So, we work with a third-party firm that tracks all of our sales tax collections. I usually send out to council and staff what's called a non-confidential report. I get full report. So my report might be 30 or 35 pages, and the one we can send out is 10 or 15. And usually what they're omitting is basically the collection amounts for individual. And some of that's just because, those businesses don't want their competition to know exactly how much they're doing in terms of sales. And you could basically work backwards in order to figure that out if you saw their sales tax numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question on the TOT. So ours is 12%, and I don't know if you know this off the top of your head. Is that pretty comparable to surrounding communities? Are we lower, higher, right in the middle?
I think it's pretty comparable. So I think originally the 8% was what was statewide, and then there was a little bit of a push climb around the same time that Kingsburg approved theirs to go up to 12%. I'd have to look to see if any of them have anything higher than that. I know it can become a little bit contentious if you try and go higher than that, because then the hotels feel like they can become less competitive, right? Well, if you're charging 15 or 20%, that's just getting added to our room rate. So maybe someone will pick a room that's not in this jurisdiction or not in Kingsburg to go stay, at one of the surrounding places. But I think 12% I think is pretty common.
Do we have any public comments on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll come back, and this is informational only. Okay, so we'll move on if you guys don't have anything else. I think the next up we have future agenda items, which is none, and so we'll move to the city manager's report.
Couple of quick items, both regarding fire department. So all of you should have received the fire med application in the mail. We've also been promoting that online, and the fire department has as well. So that's the $75 annual program that you can sign up for that helps cover you if you have to be transported in our ambulance if you live within the eligible area. So we continue to put that out. And then just again, a reminder that we are hosting the celebration of receiving the new fire engine next Friday at 10 a.m. at station number 1. So Senator Hurtado will be in attendance. Supervisor Mendez has indicated that he'll be attending as well. And so I invite the community and obviously everyone here to come help us push in the new engine. That's all I have.
That's $75 for fire med. That's for the household, correct? Yeah,
Yeah, as long as you live there.
right.
Yeah,
Covered. Yeah, I think that's important. Okay, we'll move on to council member reports, starting with Councilmember Silva.
Thank you, Mayor Purcell. The South Kings GSA have not met, although the ad hoc committee is attempting to get together to have a meeting to discuss several different items that we're going to address with CID. So that's pending everybody's schedule, which is a little bit tricky, but we're working on that. The Economic Development Committee has not met. The Kingsburg Healthcare District was postponed due to lack of quorum, so intensively on budgets for the festivals and making sure that committee chair people had their budgets in. And so the Crayfish Festival is the next big festival this month. And so Cindy Regier was the committee chair and she had her budget in. And so that was good. Another notable is they do have a new audio minute taker instead of an individual minute taker. And there was a few little anomalies that had to get addressed when it came to that, a couple of inaccuracies. So they pointed them out and amended those minutes. And then other than that, the South Kings or the South San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control has not met either. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember North.
Thank you to both of you for covering Chamber for me. Bid will meet on October 7th and Chamber will meet on October 14th. And I have nothing else to report on.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes, on Wednesday, September 24th, the Community Services Commission will be meeting and we will be going over the Parks Master Plan. So if you're interested in coming and hearing what the community has to say, that is an opportunity for the community to come and provide input on what they'd like to see in the Recreation Master Plan for Kingsburg. And again, that's going to be Wednesday on September 24th, and that will start at 5:30 in this room. The Finance Committee hasn't met. Our next meeting is going to be on October 6th. As far as other items, last night I attended the Chamber Mixer. It was held at Viking Bar and Grill. It was well attended and it was a very nice mixer there. Thanks to Viking Bar and Grill for hosting it. One additional item that's going to be coming up is Kingsburg's going to be holding a digital marketing workshop, and that the Fresno Pacific has this group, and we had this community roundtable. From that discussion, a need was identified that a digital marketing workshop for the businesses would be a good opportunity. So that's going to be on Tuesday, September 23rd at 5 o'clock, and it will be held at the Covenant Church downstairs in the Fellowship Hall. There will be more information coming out. It's a meeting that they like an RSVP to because they serve dinner. That's all I have.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Public Safety Committee, we have not met since our last meeting. Planning Commission, we met last week. The Planning Commission adopted a resolution to recommend that our council adopt a general plan amendment, and that will be coming to us next month to vote on. SKF, at SKF, we had a closed session meeting, was only on the agenda, and that was, it was a conference with labor negotiators. And that's all I have on the committees. Friday night is homecoming for Kingsburg High football, and they are 2-2 right now. They beat Highland last Friday night in Highland and in Bakersfield, and then they had a little hiccup against Dinuba 2 weeks ago. Their starting quarterback was out. He was hurt. He's back now. And they were upset by Dinuba by 1 touchdown. So, but they're 2-2, and you want to go to homecoming Friday night? Yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's a tough game against Sanger, so really tough game. But it should be well attended, hopefully. So that's all I have.
Okay, I have nothing to report. All my committees haven't met. With that, we're going to adjourn into closed session for a conference with legal counsel. Mr. City Attorney, do we have everything to report out of closed session? Yeah, then we will adjourn tonight's meeting.